Hmm. I think we're live at the moment. I could be wrong. Are we live? We are! Good. You can see me. I think I can see you. This is great. Should we get into it? Let's get into it. Get that there. Start with glow. And, yeah. Sup, Shredders! My name is Logan, aka Spiderhands, and welcome to an SB Livestreams number 5 of the $6 song request live streams, where for just $6 you can get a track reviewed of your choice, whether it is an original or a song you like. You can get that reviewed through Ko-fi. It can be anything you like. Sup, Judith? How you doing? Welcome to the live stream. So yeah, we're gonna review songs through YouTube or Spotify, whatever. Even Billy, if that's the take. Max of 5 minutes per track. Info is in the description, video description. I've also put in the title for people to go to the video description if they're unsure. But yeah, hopefully that should be good. Just gonna quickly check that the mic is okay position-wise, and then we will be good to go. Usually want to have it in the middle. How have you been, Judith? Have you been taking care of yourself so far? Actually, hang on. There we go. Hopefully you've been taking care of yourself, Judith. Hopefully everything's alright on your end. Gonna just go to my camera on here and go to filters. No, it's not filters. What is it? Oh, got a video. 4960. That should get rid of any issues there. If it doesn't, we'll figure it out in its own time. But yeah, if we switch over to here, we're on the album. I Am Done. I'm playing Glow, a track I wrote a while back. Yeah, and there's a few other tracks on the album if you want to check it out as well. I need to start putting a link in the description if that's the case. But basically, I'm going to go to Ko-fi and just activate the queue. The queue is now open. So basically, I'm sorry to hear that you've had an infection. That sucks. That sucks. I'm really sorry to hear that. Hopefully you feel better soon. At least you're on the mend, right? Do you have to work at the moment? Can you get time off to be able to sort of rest and recover? Suppose now that we're live, we can go to the fishy screen, which is... That's good. I'm glad that you got some time off. The last thing anyone needs is to feel like they can't have time off when they're unwell, you know? So, yeah, I'm glad you got time off. We'll catch up on the music news. Just whilst we wait on any requests. I should note as well, for anyone who's curious, I am still committed to the live stream tomorrow for the Huaxi new album. I haven't scheduled it. It's one of those live streams where, like, I don't mind if it's super busy or not. For me personally, I figure it'll do okay because there's a lot of people that seem to like them. I'll still try and schedule it, but if it's quite a live stream, that's fine. It's all good. What's been happening in the news though? Music news. Sa remembers Mac Miller on Balloonerism release. I Miss My Friend. It's a beautiful sentiment there. The Weeknd donates 1 million to LA Fire Relief after cancelling Rose Bowl concert. Mumford and Sons go back to their roots. Oh, okay. So apparently, you can just is that good? Like, that's okay. Oh, so it was... I thought that was my webcam that made the funny noise, but it was actually my keyboard on the left that I've been practicing on today, turning off. Apparently, you can own a guitar played on Leica Rolling Stone and at Newport 65 for $275,000. So basically, for a house deposit, whoops, that isn't what I wanted. There we go. For a house, for far more than a house deposit, you can have that guitar, and it is gated for subscribers, I assume. So that's cool. The Roots will celebrate Do You Want More 30th anniversary with Blue Note Residency. Spin Doctors have a new song, and it kind of rocks. It's crazy that the Spin Doctors, they're like one of those bands who are so big, and you kind of don't know why, I think, until you hear the song that made them big, and it's like, oh yeah, I get that now. I kind of understand what we're going for here. Yeah, Two Princes is one of the songs I think I remember. I remember one of the first guitar magazines I read. They had the tab for that song in there, and there was actually a bit of spice to it. A bit of a spicy guitar riff. Yeah, so I think it's just reiterating there a lot of the stuff that's going on in regards to the news. You got Billboard here. How to help those impacted by the LA wildfires, updating. So there's more and more organizations, which is good as I understand it. Which clearly it's really helpful. I don't know how I feel about this. Songwriters of North America relaunched its Songwriters Fund to provide emergency relief for songwriters and composers impacted by the wildfires. In order to qualify for $500 emergency grants, songwriters can visit the organization's website and provide examples that demonstrate professional level work as a musician, prove they were based in and around the area of the fires, and provide 3 recent songwriter and/or composer credits. Like, at face value, that's awesome, right? Because it's great that they're supporting musicians who are going through a difficult time. But at the same time, $500 for a musician that's done professional work and who has had several different recent writing credits, that's not a lot of money. Like, how do I describe it? It's like, it's great that they're doing it. I think the sentiment is in the right place. And to be clear, no one is asking me for my opinion on this. But it's also like, it seems like if the musicians are that successful, they should have $500 in their account, if that makes sense, right? Unless they're either being screwed by the people they're working with. Because to be at a level where you're getting paid enough money to be able to do professional recording work, you're usually doing okay for yourself as a musician. It's a tricky thing. Whereas often the people that need it the most. But to be fair, you can't just give it to everyone because lots of people are not necessarily doing it at a professional level. And there are so many people that could arguably qualify as musicians without those stringent sort of criteria. So I don't know how they do it. But I suppose they're just doing the best they can. It's great that they are doing it regardless. And it's great that as long as you can provide that, they're still doing that, you know. The California Community Foundation's Wildlife Recovery Fund, plus 1 LA Fires, funded Team Rubicon. Oh, so they're going to do Fire Aid, which is a pair of benefit concert spanning both Intuit Dome and Kia Forum on January 30th. Ticketmaster. The most benevolent of the ticket people. I hope that they don't pull any bullshit with that. The Get Together Foundation, in cooperation with Rockseller Productions, announced a wildfire relief concert to be held January 28th at the Canyon in Agora Hills, California. Yeah, it's and then JP Sachs is hosting a benefit concert with friends in lieu of a single release show to benefit victims. I don't know, man. It's good that he's doing stuff. It's good that they're doing stuff. I appreciate that. So go back to this, kind of make it not big screen. Keisha says TikTok is temporary, but her 29... Yeah, that's cool. Though 2009 hit TikTok is forever. It's ridiculous that the people who are actually responsible for these fire events don't have to stand out and need to do anything. Yeah, I agree. I feel like if there are people that are provably responsible for these fires, I think those people need to be held accountable, for sure. I feel like it's equally important. Sup, Jory and Joe, by the way. Hopefully you're well. Hopefully having a good day today. I feel like it's equally responsible for people to support each other as well as identify what caused this stuff. And then kind of do what they can to prevent it from occurring again. Whatever that takes. You know, without any kind of external kind of stupidity involved, you know, like, yeah. I don't know, but it's clearly it's a complicated situation. It's a global thing now. A lot of people have really strong opinions about it. Have you been affected by it, Joy and Joe? Have you been affected? Has anyone been watching this been affected by it? Because if you have, it would be good to hear how you're doing. Because, I mean, I can't imagine what it would be like to lose my house in a fire. I just can't. It'd be brutal. Benji Madden celebrates my queen Cameron Diaz's return to acting and 10 years marriage. Good on her. Good on Cameron Diaz for doing that. Charlie Puth bids TikTok farewell. It's crazy to think that TikTok is getting banned. That's wild. It's so tricky. It's such a tricky thing, man. Like, you know, clearly the transfer of data and the addiction and stuff like that and the way it's shaping people's brains and stuff like that is affecting stuff. But, like, at the same time, I don't really see too much of a difference between TikTok and a lot of the other social media platforms who are still going to behave like this, you know? It could be argued that most social media, if not for young people, is particularly dangerous, and it's better to at least have sort of like limitations on it for youngins. Where I work, you get younger kids as young as like 7 or 8 getting on TikTok, and it's brutal. It's brutal. Judith says, my relatives were lucky as their houses are closer to San Francisco, but it's still concerning. Yeah, I'm really sorry to hear that they're that close. Honestly, that might sound strange, but you'd be anxious, wouldn't you? I can imagine they'd be anxious about that. You just don't know what's going to happen next. I'm glad that they were able to avoid it, though. Thank you for talking about it. Yeah. Joe Jonas dressed up in drag on TikTok, and fans are losing it. Honestly, good for him, man. He's enjoying his life, and that's awesome. The singer shared a clip of him sporting a new drag persona while lip-syncing to a clip from 90s horror show Are You Afraid of the Dark? That's... Man, if they can get away with it, that's awesome. Good on them, man. I want to see it. Oh, crazy. Crazy, dude.
Roller skating. Don't touch my stuff.
I mean, let's... At face value, this is probably a lot for most people, right? But if you think about how sensitive a lot of people are to sort of stuff like this and the fact that it gets people talking just because it's so different to what they might be used to, it's incredible marketing. Like, from the perspective of someone who is looking to, like, create a career, for better or worse, doing stuff like this, you know, it keeps people's attention. A third row user wrote that Jonas might be coping with the Supreme Court's ruling on the app's future. Joe, blink twice if TikTok being banned is getting to you. The video comes shortly after the Supreme Court released a decision on Friday morning upholding a federal statute effectively banning TikTok in the US unless ByteDance, the company that owns the app, sells it to a US business by Sunday. While TikTok has threatened to shut down the app in the US on Sunday, President Joe Biden has made it clear that he will not enforce the ban on his way out of office, leaving the app's future squarely in the hands of President-elect Donald Trump, who has recently pledged to keep the app available in the US. So, okay, without getting political in it, it's likely if Trump wants the app, it's going to stay. So, why are people panicking? If the app is going to stay because the incoming president, again, regardless of how you feel about him, and I'll be honest, I'm not a massive fan of Trump, but like regardless of how you feel, he says he's interested in keeping it because, as I understand it, he's actually found some success on the platform. So yeah, he'll keep it, and people will have TikTok. Yeah. It's an interesting time. It's people really panicking about it. Really panicking about losing it. Yeah, there we go. Leeds nightclub. This is NME. Leeds nightclub to give revelers lollipops to keep them quiet. As daft as it sounds, people tend to become quiet when they have something... Sorry. People tend to become quiet when they have something in their mouth. That's true. That is absolutely true. Absolutely valid. Just makes sense, doesn't it, Bose? Entertainment world reacts to death of football great Dennis Law, a legend in every way. It's a shame. As I lay dying's Tim Lambesis gives... Tim Lambesis is a phenomenal drummer. Phenomenal. He is the drummer, right? Oh, no, never mind. He's a guitar, I suppose. As I lay dying's Tim Lambesis has given his first interview following the departure of his former bandmates. Last October, the band's bassist Ryan Neff, guitarist Ken Susi, and drummer Nick Pierce, all of whom joined the band in 2022, announced that they were quitting the band, citing personal morals. What is this? Oh, that is the guy who killed his wife. Oh, crazy. Oh, that is the guy who killed his... Oh, got it. Planned... Sorry, should I say he planned to get his wife killed? That's wild. We're going to take a break from music news. I want to read more about that, but we'll see how we go. Apparently, Judith has a commission for us. So let's check out Judith's track today. Judith, thanks for your request. Thank you very much. So the queue is open for anyone who is keen. It's okay if you're not. We can just hang out and talk about stuff. What has Judith got for us today? This is called Kurosawa, with their track titled Tobacco. There's English translations in the closed captions. That's cool. Let's do it. Oh, nice turn with the piano. Have I got something else going on in the background? Oh, okay. Are we good? Hello? 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 Yay! Who is this? Who? Ooh, no. Oh, sorry. Sorry. Hang on. I gotta step back from the mic. Who's that? We have someone here. What's their name? People. Hello, people. Welcome to the live stream. Yeah, I've been having a couple of issues with my encoder recently. I can't figure out whether it's the graphics card or it's just something to do with YouTube, because like it's not like it was like something to do with the webcam. I think. Anyways, we're back. We're going to start the track from the beginning so that you guys have all of this. Apparently, this is a track from an act. They're named Kurosawa Taro Tobacco. So we're going to listen through this from the start. I hate the thing that the person I like likes. Thank you, Judith. It's very homely, isn't it? Very down to earth with a guitarist, piano, and vocal performance. I like the way we're coming with the drums at this point. It's well balanced with the leads on the side as well as everything else. our tempo, that like part where we come down, it kind of crashes down when you realize that even when you're trying to get so close to someone that you do something you never usually do, right? But then you realize it burns you and it goes back into the cup and you're wondering what the hell just happened. That desperation to get that close, even if it's something you wanted nothing to do with before. Incredible storytelling. This track, Tobacco, from Kurosawa, Judith's request, is a fantastic track. I think the story is really, it's hard. It's deep, but in a way where I feel like it's very, I've paused it at the 5-minute mark, but I do probably will listen to the rest of my own time, potentially. It depends on, but like, you just get that arc, right? Yeah, burning memories, right? It's very vivid. The smell of the person associating with them. That's that journey that you go on. Realizing that you maybe needed to have paid more attention to that one, been more careful, etc. Just more attentive, and then realizing once what you've gone is gone. So that's the story. And I can see Joy and Joe, Judith, as well as people. It is a sad song. It's a really tricky, intense song that I feel is incredibly authentic and heartfelt. And I'm glad to have heard it. So thank you for that. But the vocal performance is not just sung well. The harmonies and melodies work really well, neatly wherever they are positioned, and you have development and diversity throughout the piece. But it's also the points where the singer clearly is struggling to get some of the words out, and you can tell they're having a really difficult time with expressing the pain that they're in because of the situation. And that makes it very human, and it makes it a very special song. So I feel like it elevates, it makes it sort of transcendent and very memorable. The song has this kind of almost sadness with then a parallel major afterwards there, or like a modular thing right from the get-go. So you know from structurally from the very beginning, it's going to be like a push-pull kind of thing the whole way through. Like you want this person in your life, but thinking about them as like you want this person in your life, but also thinking about them is painful. It's just very difficult for them to go through and to really establish and process the position and headspace that needs to be in order to be able to approach that. I feel a piano playing is well fleshed out in regards to the sort of the arpeggios, melodies, as well as sort of playing those main chords. The guitar parts there that we have in certain positions if we go back. You know, we have exactly, there's this really compelling right-hand melody twinkling up the top, and the guitar is either strumming or highlighting some of those notes. And it builds as we go on. And there are some unexpected chords that we have along the way, some chromatics or semitonals. And it makes it more interesting because of the fact, as opposed to if they just had the usual major minors. It shows advanced understanding of composition and songwriting. The journey between the different verses and choruses and little instrumental sections, especially at the halfway point where we kind of split it, because we have the drums and bass coming at that point, as well as the leadish kind of guitars as sub-leads on the left side. The song becomes more mature and fuller, as if the person is getting more of an awareness of where they are and how they're placed in the grand scheme of things. And so you bring it together with the drums typically rolling between sort of snare hits, both ghost and rolls there, cymbal, ride or hi-hat snare patterns with kicks, and a very gentle drum beat, even with some intensity or sophistication with some of the offbeat hits. The bass line typically working with those root notes of the chords, not trying to stick out too much. But you just get more layers and it becomes fuller over time. And its dynamic range, it comes down and becomes very quiet at some points, very tender and intimate, and that makes it more sort of like you go through that journey with Kurosawa. And you can hear the actual struggle, the kind of the tension in some of those notes. And honestly, thematically, the track plays with your emotions. It's honestly a very bittersweet experience with the chord choices, some of the chromatics within the harmonies. And it's tricky, like it's trying to emphasize and communicate the complexity they're feeling through the chords. And yeah, no, I feel like it's really well written and well performed as well. There's more to it, but there's a lot to it, and it would take a while for me to sort of like go through everything. But overall, the thoughts are, I'd need to hear the end of the track to have a more comprehensive understanding, but so far, very, very good. Studio recording, mixing, and mastering is fantastic. Really satisfied with the way they handled everything there. You can hear the vocals clearly. It's not overproduced. As you said, the vocalist must have felt very naked during the first verse. And I'd absolutely agree with that. I think that it was a very raw performance. The guitars, bass, drums, keys, etc. were not overproduced. There was polish to it, but not too much. The dynamic range, things weren't the same loudness all the time. Interesting use of panning for various instruments, like the backing vocals on the far side or the lead guitar just on one. And yeah, it's great. Really well done track. Glad that I've had a chance to listen to it. And thank you very much for Judith for you sending this through. It's a beautiful song. Really, really awesome song. And I'm glad that there were subtitles so that I could have a more sort of, so that I could understand it better. I do appreciate when they provide that little bit of extra help for us mortals who are not multilingual. I say multilingual because there's a lot of languages that come through this channel, and I love hearing the music. It's just, I just wish that I could auto-translate in my brain, you know? Some people are very clever and they can do that. I am not as clever. But this next track is from Dinahay. So hello, Dinahay, if you're in the crowd. How are you doing? Hopefully you're having a good day today. Hopefully you're having a good time. This track is That's So True from Gracie Adams. Gracie Abrams, sorry. Gracie Abrams. Have we listened to Gracie Abrams? Come to think of it, have we listened to Kurosawa? I'm not sure if we have, but either way, we got Gracie Abrams. Are we good? Yay! So this is Gracie Abrams. We have listened to Gracie Abrams. That's true, we have. I thought I recognized that name. So this is That's So True.
I could go and read your mind. Think about your dumb face all the time. Living in your glass house, I'm outside. Looking in her big blue eyes. Did it just to hurt me, make me cry?
Hang on. Sorry, I'm going to make it loud for you guys. That was quiet because I had my track playing before.
I could go and read your mind. Think about your dumb face all the time. Living in your glass house, I'm outside. Looking in her big blue eyes. Did it just to hurt me, make me cry? Smiling through it all, yeah, that's my life. You're an idiot. Now I'm sure. Now I'm positive. I should go and warn her. Ooh, bet you think that she's so cool. Kicking back on your couch, making eyes from across the room. Wait, I
Catchy harmonies. And that little riser there was just a great way to sort of build up the tension before we come back down for the next verse.
She do to get you off. Taking down her hair like, oh my god. Taking off your shirt, I did that once or twice. I know, fuck off. But I think I like her, she's so fun. Wait, I think I hate her, I'm not that evolved. I'm sorry, she's missing it. Sad, sad boy, not my business. But I had to warn ya. Ooh, bet you think she's so cool. Kicking back on your couch, making eyes from across the room. Wait, I think I've been there too.
Great panning of the vocals on the sides. It's really full sounding.
You got me thinking she's so cool. But I know what I know, and you're just another dude. Ooh, that's so true. Made it out alive, but I think I lost it. Said that I was fine, said walking, that's my life, that's my life. I'll put up a fight, taking out my earrings. Don't you know the vibe? Don't you know the feeling? It's just spend the night, catch me on your ceiling.
And how those snares go in time with the words. So that was Gracie Abrams with her track "That's So True," requested by Dinner Hay. Just before I continue, Zach, we absolutely are. So the way you can tell if we're still off, our queue is still open, is you can double check this little window down here, and if the window down here says that the queue is open, it's open. You're good to place a request. Feel free just to go through the link in the video description, and we should be good. And you don't even need to look at this if you don't want to. Just if you go to the link in the description, usually the ability to place a request will be there if the live stream is if requests are open. Usually I put closed here the same time as I close the queues on the website. So that's cool though. So this was Gracie Abrams with "That's So True." What do I think this track is about? I think it's about someone who is just really kind of frustrated with the situation they're in with this dude that they like, and they're comparing that sort of feeling and attention in their experience with another person. That's your price, well, but you're thinking she's so cool, kicking back. Yeah, exactly. So it's basically they're trying to move on to a new person, and Gracie Abrams is just not having it. They're just not happy with it, not impressed. So I think that's basically what the track is about. Vocal wise, Gracie Abrams sings really well, and I think in addition to that, not in like a traditional way, just more of the sort of contemporary way of singing where it's more sort of like spoken sung stuff, with pop music anyways. We have some really wonderful vocal sort of tails, melodic tails, where they kind of sweep and sort of da 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 da, and we have really great breath control there. And we have great breath control there, and we handle and we navigate those well, even with those other parts together. So it's professional grade. Like, they sing really well, and they suit the genre. The start with the guitar at the start is very much kind of a girl alone in a room, kind of sort of making a song for a guy. And you've got these other vocal takes in the background, which are sort of reverb soaked and laden and making it very sort of atmospheric, which I think is kind of cool. And then you have like the strummed sort of more generic guitar chords there with the open chords or bars and stuff like that. And that continues for a lot of it. There are kicks on the drum kit, so there's kicks on the drum kit, go doof, 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 like for the chord note groove. And then when we move into the chorus sections, as well as some of the later interlude parts, what I like is that we kind of have these almost 16th note patterns on some of the, not a specific thing, like at least with the offbeats of some of the tails of those drum grooves. And we keep the chord note accent, but it just adds a bit more of a sort of flourish to those hook parts to have the drums doing more. The bass line typically being very loyal to the root notes. And there's like these sort of organs in the background for a pad-like effect. But a lot of the color within this track, harmonically and melodically, it comes from... A lot of the color comes from what's going on within those... Hi, Dr. Theo. How you doing? Welcome to the live stream. A lot of those color comes from the vocal parts. So I think that's really cool. That's just a very common thing nowadays with a lot of music within the space in the 2020s. And it isn't before, to be fair. And like you have like an additional occasional synth or something like that in the background. But ultimately, those are the main instruments. And they work together through a track that at 2 minutes 46. The track at 2 minutes 46 is well fleshed out. It goes really smoothly throughout. No complaints whatsoever about the way that things move. There are points where it rises and then comes back down. Very occasional little additional elements like the rise we had after the first chorus. Thematically, I think it's trying to be sort of like more homely Girl Next Door with the acoustic guitar mixed in with more contemporary pop elements, like the acoustic drums that are electric drums, the bass and the synthesizers, etc. And it seems authentic because of the lack of overproduction on the main vocals, but of course the other vocals are more sort of fluffy and to be less of a focus. And the track changes enough throughout to be intriguing, doesn't overcomplicate the harmonies, apart from some of the vocal bits that are the main sort of stimulant. Studio recording, mixing and mastering wise, very good. No complaints at all, regardless in regards to the leveling of the guitar, bass drums, organs, synth, etc. The vocals. You can hear everything in the mix very cleanly. It's very easy to sort of understand. It's very easy to understand what's going on within here from a queuing, panning, dynamic range, loudness perspective. It's good. Good. Thank you to Dinner Hay for putting this track through from Gracie Abrams, titled That's So True. I like the attitude within it. I think this is from other tracks as well within this album. I wish Gracie Abrams all the best. They're definitely making some gains, like 9-figure plays. It's wild. And yeah, Joy and Joe, I agree. It does remind me a lot of songs from Taylor Swift. I think Taylor Swift actually collaborates on Us. The 5th song from The Secret of Us, they work together on a track, so that's cool. Featuring Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift as a feature. That's wild. You know that you're doing well when Taylor Swift is a feature. Welcome, Jacob. Welcome to the live stream. Hopefully you are well. Hopefully everyone watching this is having a nice weekend and you're taking care of yourselves. And hopefully still sticking to your New Year's resolutions. If you're not, no shade. It's all good. I haven't. I have been struggling to stay off my phone, but currently my phones are in this little drawer down here, and yeah, they're actually stacked on top of each other, so they're not causing any mischief at the moment, which is grand. Apparently she's the opening guest for Taylor's tour. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. We've got a new track from, like, I mean, that sounds like I was being dismissive. It wasn't. I think it's genuinely good. I think that Gracie Abrams and Taylor Swift do suit each other. So thank you for letting me know, Blue Dinner Box. Thanks for your request. Yeah, thank you for that. What have we got from Dr. Theo today? Combo of black metal and breakcore, but with a twist of having an acoustic guitar instead of an electric guitar. The drums definitely are used to keep up how heavy black metal typically is, but it has this duality vibe to it, sanity and insanity. Well, let's check it out, Dr. Theo. I'm keen to hear more. It's from Igor. It's Pavor Nocturnus. Thank you, Zach, as well for your request. I appreciate it. So I think there are now, if I am not mistaken, I think there are 2 in the queue. So it'll be yours, Zach, as well as Dr. Theo's, which we're listening to now. Off of the Nostril album. This here. Liking the breakbeat stuff, man. That's dope. Those drums are fun though, man. There's a really sort of diminished, unsettling tone to this. I mean, it's a hell of a vibe, isn't it? Very unique, though. I like it. It's satisfying how it comes out of that break, though. Have they got 2 different drum kits for this? No, I don't know. I mean, it's just wild. It's visceral. So that was Pavor Nocturnus by Igor. Probably one of the most unique songs I think I've heard in an incredibly long time, partially because of just how it's like, I'm not sure what the track is about. I would agree it kind of does remind me of Bloodborne a little bit. Apparently, you guys really like it. It is a masterpiece. I'd say that, like, I feel like they set out to it and they accomplish what they set out to do. Vocally, I think it mirrors someone almost operatically in their lower range grieving. And then they boost it up to someone who is just screaming in pain. And it's like someone constantly fluctuating between the sadness and the rage, going backwards and forwards. That's my interpretation of the vocal style. For the parts where there's a wide vibrato, clearly they can sing very well. And also, to be fair to them, the fact that they're able to get that vocal friner in a way that is sustainable with that level of control is incredibly impressive. They have a song where they put seed on a toy piano, have a chicken eat off of it, and use the notes from that in a song. See, that is so cool. That is so cool. They're so cool, though. I love it. Thank you for sharing this. This was Dr. Theo's recommendation. So aside from the vocal performance and what it's about, which I'm not entirely sure, I can only gauge from the mood of it. This track comprises of these sort of electronic sort of breakbeatish kind of drums, which go between sort of triplet oriented. No, it's 16th. It's straight. Da 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 da. No, it's the time signature that's making it more triplet as opposed to the actual. It's not swing grooves, but you meld those ride kick snare oriented parts with these electronic sort of break beatish, just incredible variety to the different sort of snare patterns that they have there. Is it just, and the fact that they managed to get that to mesh with the acoustic guitar that just to be able to orient itself in a way that makes musical sense. I think it's because the guitar is so in the back, because it's not as aggressive, that it kind of takes a backseat and allows the drums to almost be a lead instrument, which I kind of dig. And you've got the bass nice and thick and full on the low end as well. That's being very well behaved and supportive. And again, like, there's wonderful use of like double kick and tom fills and stuff like that as well. They sort of like saunter through the piece in a way that's very, very comfortable. It's clearly they're very capable musicians. And almost because of the fact that you've got that consistency, I think someone mentioned above, I like how in that break the guitar feels like it's one giving the beat. Yeah, exactly. The guitar is almost like taking the pace of the consistency of like the cymbals or something like that, and allowing the drums to be that kind of lead instrument in those breaks there. I think it does have a duality sort of feel to it. And there's like these kind of discordant, sort of diminished or like minor oriented like arpeggios or lead parts on the guitar, but because they're acoustic, they're still almost very kind of morbid. I think that Jacob mentioned that the production, they're not the biggest fan of the production, which I kind of agree with. I think that if you had made the track too pretty, like not pretty sounding, that's not what I mean, but like if you made this mix too clean, it would have sounded a bit kind of cold. It almost, that kind of grittiness and lack of comfort kind of makes it to me a bit more sort of kind of gives it this added presence, a lack of that imperfection is what kind of part of what grounds it. So I think that you know, with the understanding of that's what we've got basically for the most part. And again, like the different lead part of them with like more of a cleaner electric to kind of sort of, I think there might have been leads from electric on top, like cleaner ones that layered on top and were filtered to kind of sit there in the mid to higher ranges there, just so there wasn't too much low end resonance with the bass there. But thematically, I think it is trying to sort of focus more on the sadness or grief that someone is working through. Again, the push and pull of the struggle. There are some diminished parts where it gets very kind of dark, and that is mirrored in some of the harmonies between the lower range and the upper screams. And it never really resolves. You get the feeling that the struggle is just something they're going to loop with forever, from the way that the song is structured and the way that the chords move forward. It's just, yeah, it's not a nice song to listen to. But you get the feeling that it's just their situation. It's kind of like a horror film if it was a song. So I think that the use of chords, the instruments, again, having the acoustic or cleaner elements for the strings was great. Having the drums as lead was awesome, very unique. Studio post-production, mixing and mastering was really, really capable. Again, I think I'd probably need another time to... I liked how things were mixed and leveled. You could hear everything. I think there was an interesting contrast between the textures of the drum kit versus those sort of darker acoustics and the basses. I think that if I put more on this track, it would have been too much. Yeah. And I think, yeah, the vocals weren't overproduced. It was nice to have a roughness to it. And the fact that this was a solo project is just really impressive. Well done to them. It's excellent effort. Do I think the muddiness is produced deliberately? I think it's 50-50. You have a choice when you're choosing these tones and sounds about what sound you pick, and then you have a choice in the production or post-production to decide how much you want to clean it up. So I think they chose sounds that worked, but then they decided not to maybe do too much to the ones they thought were fine, and that's great. So well done to that was awesome. That was Igor with Pavor Nocturnus. Thank you very much to Dr. Theo for putting this track through. It's a great time. Did you mention that they had gone with their collaboration with Cannibal Corpse? That would be interesting. It's it's been a while since I've heard Cannibal Corpse, but I have enjoyed the intensity of their stuff. Don't know if you guys have watched Metalocalypse before. Metalocalypse is one of my favorite shows. And I think that the main Nathan Explosion was based off of the vocalist from Cannibal Corpse, and it's very, very cool. So I do miss my Cannibal Corpse. But then you can just listen to it whenever you want, right? Thanks, Zach. It's time to listen to a song from Zach. What has Zach got for us today? Let's do it. Song is Modest Mouth, Teeth Like God's Shoe Shine. Let's do it, Zach. Let's listen to the song. We'll find it on Spotify. Lots of different music today. But I like that. I like that we've got a range of different ingredients. So yeah, this is Modest Mouse. Got the album art up here. Get ourselves into it, eh?
From the top of the ocean, yeah, from the bottom of the sky, not yeah, well I can climb the fucking I can, you know that I can well. From the top of the ocean, yeah, from the bottom of the sky, not yeah, well I can climb the fucking I can, you know that I can.
What is the song about, Zach? How would you describe the song?
And he said, I am not allowed by the danger of keeping life no longer in danger. You'll burn me an effigy, and I'll burn you an effigy. Well, around the snake of Ed, far from Montana, even the leg of the old cherry, on that boy fell down on his hair lip.
I like the rustic nature of some of those guitar parts. Great, a tremolo bar as well.
You could combat your conscience, and you might. If you could bottle and sell it, you might have done. And you might. If you could combat your conscience and sell it, save it for another time. You know you might have to use it. And the television's on. Go to the grocery store, buy some new friends, and find out the beginning, the end, and the best of it. Well, do you need a lot of what you got to survive?
Hell of a line, isn't it? Well, do you need a lot of what you've got to survive?
Here's the man with teeth like God's shoes, shiny sparkles, shimmers, shines. Let's all have another orange Julius Fixer standing in lines. The malls are the soon-to-be ghost towns. Well, so long, farewell, goodbye.
Such a contrast to the first part of the track. I mean, it sounds like they're all recording in the same room as well.
Take a long ride and you'll go round town. No one uptight anymore. You could be ashamed to be so proud of what you've done, but not no one, not now, not ever anyone. Take a off to the side of that happiness that kind of hurts deep down inside. Oh, you can add it up and give a shit, give a shit. Go to the family doctor and it's all with it, all with it, all. And it's all. Oh, you can add it up and give a shit, give a shit. I'm on the corner of this, all. And it's all. gosh, shoot, shiny sparkles, shimmers, shines. Let's all have another orange Julius, thick syrup, standing in lines. The malls are the soon-to-be ghost towns. Well, so long, farewell, goodbye.
Phenomenal.
And the telephone goes off. Pick the receiver up, try to meet ends and find out the beginning, the end, and the best of it.
And that's 5 minutes, unfortunately. That is Teeth Like God's Shoe Shine by Modest Mouse. I have not heard of Modest Mouse. Well, I mean, I've heard of them. I haven't heard the music before. This is off of the album The Lonesome Crowded West. And I love it. Like, sometimes I feel myself needing, when I listen to tracks on... How do I say this? Sometimes I feel like I want to be enthusiastic for songs. And then I analyze them, I feel good about them. With this one, I both felt enthusiastic at the same time as I was analyzing it. Like, naturally. There's just something very special about this song, and I'm sort of trying to figure it out. I think part of what I like about the song, Teeth Like God's Shoe Shine, I mean, what is it about? Generally about people screwing each other, kind of. It's poetry. It's kind of... I don't know how to make direct sense out of it. Oh, if you could compact your conscience. The money spent went to the county line, paid the rent, and uh-oh. And you might, oh, if you could bottle and sell it, you might have done. If you compact your conscience and sell it, save time. For another time, you might have to use it. Yeah, no, it does kind of sound like someone's commenting on others' actions, but it's very vague. It's very vague. It seems like it's kind of opaque in a way where it's trying to leave it open interpretation, whilst also kind of, I suppose, allowing it to apply to different things. But I'm going to think on this. But in the meantime, the vocal performance from the singer is well handled there. We are very, but in a different way than usual. He knows the notes he wants to go for. He knows how to articulate himself and get the words across. The focal point, I think, isn't necessarily the vocals, because sometimes the vocals get swallowed by the music around them. I think it's more the raw expression that is what matters here. There are some parts where it's very kind of gritty and intense, and other parts where it's very kind of quiet, and there's like the mid-range and then like a lower one, or it's harmonizing above it. And there are some parts where the vocals are goofy. I absolutely agree, Zach. There are also some parts here where the vocals are very real, and they seem very kind of sad and sort of like almost like the person's going through a sense of being incredulous at what people are doing to each other. But then that part where things slow down to that lesser tempo there, it's just kind of sad at the fact that it had to get there at all. Very interesting storyteller. Very, very good at what they do. It's just very human. It sounds like they're actually having a conversation with you at the same time as they sing. The track hits 6 minutes 53, well, without having heard the rest of it. But from what I've heard so far, is a clear example of how a through composed piece can work, as long as you have different chapters. So at the start, you have this kind of very kind of like almost this kind of bluesy, groovy, almost like kind of reminds me of like Primus, that kind of stuff. Like the way that you have these hammer-on pull-offs on the guitars, that revolving riff. The guitar loop does not like it doesn't like it goes back into itself effortlessly, but it doesn't resolve, you know. And there is a sense of unison with the words that are being sung by the vocalist, which I think is really cool. and the bass line kind of works at a don't kind of walks around at an eighth note pace there, and the drums have this almost sort of like new metalish kind of like alt rock kind of like sort of intensity to there as well. Like it's very much kind of we are playing a riff, and this is the kind of thing we want to discuss now. But then we move into those quieter parts. I don't know, like there are parts there where it sort of like changes and adjusts the tempo of it, and other parts where it focuses on these little cute little natural harmonics there, where it kind of gets the tremolo wow wow like that. And there's moments almost where like when the vocals aren't that, we're kind of allowing the track to sort of like sit for a bit, and then we get the next set of words out. Oh, well, there you go. See, that's a bit friendlier there at that point. So it does kind of come down a little bit, and it's like there's different angles that he's discussing with the lyrics, and then a different riff to demonstrate that, which seems obvious, but it's not always nowadays. A lot of time, you'll simply have different parts of the story described across the same idea. Here, we're very diligently trying to say, no, this is this part now. No, this is this part of the story you're going to get with this idea. It sort of telegraphs it for the listener, if that makes sense. And like at those, when it slows down after that outburst, and you have very cool album, all the song have the vibes of a deteriorating Midwestern town from the lyrics and instrumentation. Yeah, I can understand that here. Like the talking about the cowboy getting bitten by the rattlesnake and stuff like that. You can kind of compare them and like the elixir of like how. Yeah, I understand that. And you can hear it in here. You can hear there's a frustration for the vocalist at the situation that is occurring, something they're struggling to cope with. You can assume they're being vague maybe because of the fact that they've had similar experiences with people around them, and they're sort of heartbroken over the way that things have turned out. But I think that when you're focusing primarily on either sort of single string riffs or like power chord elements there, you might arpeggiate and have like fuller chords and stuff on the guitars, but typically it's either meant to be distorted and a bit kind of like angsty, or again, you come down with the harmonics. It's very soft and gentle. The rides occur on the drum kit. You've got the slow kind of shuffle towards like a truth that is then rejected as you kind of go back up and accelerate it. And then you get that build there. Like it's very much like you can hear the band is playing together. They're very tight instrumentally. They've got a great chemistry, and it's almost like it's a dramatic performance in the sense that you, as a listener, you're being pushed and pulled that way and the next. You can imagine live, the song would be phenomenal because of the way it twists and turns. If the entire album is like this, it'd be fantastic to listen to in a sitting. And then at that part there as well, we have that extra speed there, and we do adjust to those octave chords and stuff, but it's almost like, yeah, no, it mirrors some of the ideas that we had earlier, but it's just added intensity because I think we've had that moment of reflection to go up with the added kind of octaves. It's one of those songs where like you don't really know what's going on until you have multiple listens, and I kind of respect that. So I feel like if you're going to listen to this album, you need to listen to it multiple times to really get all the nuances. But just the way it almost goes down to nothing at the end, and there's still a minute and a half to go, knows that they know how to play with the listener's expectations, create a really interesting experience for them. And thematically, I'm not quite sure. I think if we were to sort of, I don't think we can necessarily break the music down to a specific message. It's trying to explore different perspectives and viewpoints. And it almost seems like it's trying to sort of self-soothe, but also speak their mind at the same time. So I think I've talked about the guitar, bass, and drums there. Typically those instruments plus the vocals. The studio recording, mixing, and mastering is not super clean, but I don't think it would work if it was. How kind of rough and tumble it is with the way the vocals aren't always like as well heard. I think it's great because it just feels like you're listening to a live performance, and it almost seems like the person is being drowned out by all the noise around them. So I think that's actually a really sort of clever thing from a production perspective. The instruments are, I think you couldn't have done this to a click track, so the lack of a specific tempo the entire time. I mean, even if you had automation, it would have been complicated for the time this came out. So they can really play really well. And I think that the lack of production on the vocals and allowing them sort of just to do what they want to the mic was the correct choice, because having a lack of polish there makes it more believable, and works for the genre. You can hear everything in the mix. There's like panning and automation, as well as a closing comment on the guitar moving around the sides of the stereo field near the end with the harmonics, which is really cool. And yeah, just clever decisions here with sound design as well, on top of the fact that it's got dynamic range, incredible dynamic range, nice and loud without pumping. Very, very good song. Thank you genuinely to Zach for sending this through. I had a great time with it. I feel like I haven't spoken enough about it, but I also know I've spoken for a while about it. There's just a lot going on. Yeah, I think it's the writing that keeps bringing me back to the raw sound of the vocals. Very curious to hear your thoughts. Yeah, I think that is part of it. I think that it's just really, they're a really interesting person to listen to. And the rest of the music is great as a plus. Orange Julius is a convenience stores. There are scenes describing the empty stores and streets. Damn, that's brutal. So basically, I think maybe the big store kind of buy out all the other little ones, and then people lost their jobs and stuff, and it destroyed it. Because that's a common thing, and it's sad. Yeah. Good on him for being brave, and thank you to Joy and Joe for mentioning that. Thank you for checking on Reddit and for helping us figure out more about what the song's about. I appreciate it. It's cool, man. Cool song. Really cool song, man. But that was Zach's song, titled A Teeth Like God's Stew Shine from Modest Mouse off of the Lonesome Crowded West album. Thank you for that. We've got a track from Jacob Good. Thanks for your request. What has Jacob got for us today? We will find out. I feel like that stuff about the messages like this within albums like this one here are relevant more than ever. Hey, you're welcome. That's what we're here for. We're here to listen to music and talk about it. So it's good. It's good times. Now, who is this? We've got Jacob. And this song is from Loki-chan. Serenade to the Half Moon. So let's do it, Jacob. What do we got? Got a YouTube. There we go. Let's do it. I love listening to cool music, man. It's cool. So yeah, this is Loki-chan, Serenade to the Half Moon. Let's do it. Oh, that's sub bass. Such intensity. Oh, their falsetto is tight.
再說永久，想不到是藉口，從未會要分手。但我的心每分每刻仍然被他佔有。
Whoa!
他似這月甜，仍然是不開口。
That is so satisfying.
明月換衣深秋，我的牽掛，我的渴望，直至以後。
Oh.
我的牽掛，我的渴望，直至以後。
I am blown away by that. I am blown away by that. I am so impressed. Holy crap. Wasn't that amazing? That was so incredible. That was Loki-chan with their track Serenade to the Half Moon. He's able to create a unique warning. Heads up with detected video. Oh, hang on. Oh, careful, guys. Careful, guys. We almost got copyright blocked. We almost got copyright blocked then. Hopefully you guys are okay. Can you still see the live stream? Cool. Yeah, so we almost got copyright blocked. So I don't think that this video is going to go. It's not going to probably like this live stream is probably going to get like blocked immediately after it goes up. So if you're watching this, enjoy. Anyways, so what do we want to say about this track? I thought that this was an astonishing vocal performance. The way that he plays with your emotions, it's just stunning. Sometimes you get these belts and these big notes from these singers, especially with rock and stuff, and they kind of pick their one big moment. But with this song, what they really did well is that they not only had one big moment, but they also had the key change after. And then after the key change, whoosh, they just went even higher. And there's some of those hits, like, don't get me wrong, it's not necessarily revolutionary to sing those kinds of melodies, but it's the way that you could tell for in some parts where Loki-chan was like, they're kind of holding on there, that tension, that kind of really feeling the note. And then other points, that push and pull there, that like comes back, almost flirting with the listener whilst showing and expressing in a way that sounds completely relevant for a song with lyrics that I do not understand. And I adore it. It may seem like an extreme, sort of like reaction from me, considering I don't really react to much, but just it's such a different style here than what you get. Like in that part there, like you can tell there's 3 different stages that he's constantly going through. And it's just so thoroughly impressive. So I think phenomenal vocal technique. I can't play much more of the track because I think we're going to get copyright blocked. But I think that what I enjoyed about this track in particular, for example, was the piano accompaniment at the start. The fact that it instantly insinuated a minor key to it. It was not hesitating to let you know that there was some struggle that the person's going to go through. So here. So it's like mostly sort of key oriented there. And then you like kind of had the piano coming for the whole way. And then eventually you had the drums come in and then the bass and everything like that with the strings on top. And like the thing is, the crowd drowns out the rest of the band. That is how ecstatic the crowd is for that performance there. You've got a really tight percussive element there, digging in with the 8s and 16s, that ballad format, the bass line in the bottom keeping that situation strong. And you've even got a bit of sort of rock there, distorted guitar, the rhythm, but the power chords kind of pushing things forward and being sort of intense and anthemic. But the vocals, Loki-chan is the focal point throughout this, and I'm just really happy that that is the case. And occasional, palm muted parts there. We have a big break where he leads in the entire band, and it just shows an incredible amount of chemistry and self-awareness as well. Like, he knows what he's doing and how to be on stage. Even in the parts where there wasn't that much, he was still moving around and trying to sort of like keep things interesting and stuff like that. And it's awkward when you're on the stage by yourself. It's a big stage to fill, but Loki-chan did it. Studio production wise, I think that things were pretty well handled. I've got no real complaints about the way that things were done in regards to the mixing and mastering and stuff like that. I think it was commercial grade and it wasn't overproduced. Loki-chan can clearly sing. Wonderful. Thank you to Jacob for putting this track through. I appreciate it. It was awesome, man. I don't really have a lot else to say about the way that it was written or the remaining elements because I feel like they were relatively conservative to allow more room for Loki to be noticed in the mix. But I nonetheless feel like you couldn't have done it differently, and I'm glad that Loki did that song. That was cool, man. So we have got another request after Jacob's, though. We have got a track from Dr. Theo again. What does Dr. Theo have for us next? We will see. This is the chicken video I talked about. It was a collab between them and GoPro, and it was a lot of people's first experiences with Igor, which is funny because the rest of Igor is very different. Well, I am keen to hear this. Let's do this, yeah? So let's... Hang on a minute. Let's get this sussed. So this is Igor with Chicken Sonata. Let's do it. Let's do it. You can do it, chicken. Like, I don't know how they managed to figure out how to pick the tempo for this, but they did it tremendously. There you go. So you guys can enjoy the chicken. Oh. Oh. That piano in the back, though, the arpeggios are sensational. And then the bell tolls for thee, chicken. Oh, that was so cute when the chicken came up at the end. Oh, this was joyous. This was joy incarnate. That was amazing. Thank you very much to Dr. Theo for putting that through. That was that was Igor with Chicken Sonata. So how do we review this? I think they also got a song called Chicken Symphony. Oh, the temptation to check that out after this. But we have a system. We have a system in place. I think we've got another track after this. The next one is from Judith. So we've got to review Judith's track next after this. But first of all, just want to say this is a hell of an interesting and really cool way to market a GoPro, because if you can handle a chicken pecking your camera without risking it being damaged, that is a very, very, very good camera. What I think the track is about, I think is what happens if you have a chicken pecking out a little mini keyboard that has seeds on it and you get musical majesty. It should be noticed that the music is by, hang on, I'll make it big so you guys can check it out. If you can't check it out here, there you go. Music by Patrick, guitars by Igor and Nils Chevelle, backing vocals, bass and whistles by Anthony Miranda. In case you ask yourself if Patrick's takes have been edited, these are 2 full raw takes that weren't cut or edited at all, but arranged with instruments around. I did this video with the help of GoPro, and they also made their own version of the track. You can watch it here. Yes, Patrick the Chicken. The beautiful man. Get that back to normal size. So we got Patrick the Chicken coming in clutch for Patrick the Chicken's Chicken Sonata. So we know what the track is about. With their backing vocals, I mean, I think the whistles were very almost like things were gonna go down a dawn, you know. We're gonna go to a duel or something like that, and the duel was between Patrick and the seeds on the piano. I love the use of those vibrating guitars on the side. This kind of wah 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 wah. It's very sort of country western kind of thing there, which fits well with the aesthetic of the chicken and the mini piano out in the countryside. I think that's cool. And then moving into the main act, though, we had these dusty, overdriven guitar chords nestled in amongst the drums that come in once. Oh, but we don't even have Patrick. We don't even have the drums coming into it later on. We simply have different lead lines working with the melodies that Patrick is playing here. So it's all crafted around an intermingling mix of different piano, drum, guitar, and guitar, piano, drum, and bass parts around the lead part that is Igor or Patrick singing with his beak. And there's even like these strings in the background and stuff like that, which is so ethereal and mesmerizing. And you even like the amount of takes it would require to be able to get those bam 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 to match with what's going on with Patrick's playing. That is not easy. But the fact they allowed there to in some parts be a drum groove with a tempo that was sort of moving forward with the different guitar arpeggios and sort of rhythm parts, making sense of some of the random nature of Patrick's playing parts, whilst allowing the tempo bits where simply it was more sort of like atmospheric is dope. But I love the use of the twinkling piano parts behind Patrick's parts because they make it seem incredibly grandiose. You kind of lose yourself in the fact that it's a chicken picking keys on the piano. And you kind of can, if you close your eyes, you might not even realize that it's a chicken playing. You realize that it is all just, again, this wonderful sonata that goes together like that. There are the backing vocals. There is an additional pad-like effect. That's very, very cool. So I enjoy that a lot. I think that's very clever. So we have backing vocals as a pad-like effect with occasional virtuosic piano parts, and then we've also got Patrick playing the guitar, either playing additional lead lines on the sides or playing arpeggiated parts or vibratos at the start, the bass line being thick and full and working with the root notes, and the drums typically working with a triplet chord, triple note groove on the rides with occasional sort of tom and crash hits with the kicks and snares combined. And the bell curve goes back down. So yeah, that is basically Chicken Sonata with Igor, instrumentally a very compelling piece. I like the fact that we did not overcomplicate the arrangement further than that. I think it was enough to make it huge and full fleshed out without being too much. I like that Patrick was the main focal point for this. Thematically, I think it's basically chicken rock. It's like chicken metal, effectively. Chicken alternative rock, and I think there should be more of it. I.e., if I move myself out of there, my Chicken Symphony, please do go check that out if you're keen. Studio production, recording-wise, I think it's testament to the camera on the GoPro that we got the clean tones we did out of that acoustic piano. Really happy that we got a good take. It's just really well-natured, fun stuff. Thank you to Dr. Theo, if I'm not mistaken, for putting this track through from Igor titled Chicken Sonata. I had a great time with it. It's awesome. Leveling, panning of everything in the mix, like all that kind of good stuff is just wonderfully handled. Are they French, by the way? You may have mentioned this before, I'm not sure, but if they are, that's fine. If not, that's fine. And Judith, I know, I found it funny too. Judith, by the way, this next one is your request. We will see what you've put through. What do we got from Judith? A song that was excluded from the debut album. Is it debut or debut? Is it debut or debut? I never know. Excluded from the debut album of Arctic Monkeys. It may not be as fun as Chicken Sonata, but we had our fun. We're going to listen to some Arctic Monkeys. Let's hear it. Leave Before the Lights Come On by Arctic Monkeys. Let's get that sorted, eh? Let's get into it. Thank you, Judith, for the request. Oh, that's pretty peppy. I do like the lyrics. I do like the lyrics. I like the lyrics. Thank you, autocorrect.
Well, it isn't what it was. She's thinking he looks different today. And now there's nothing left to guess now.
That hi-hat work on the drums is ridiculous, dude.
Someone you don't love, and not feel slightly fazed by it
Why do you feel this wasn't included in the album? I feel like this is a strong track. There's a lot to appreciate here.
And I suppose that's the price you pay. Well, oh, it isn't what it was. She's thinking he looks different today. And now there's nothing left to guess now. Well, quick, let's leave before the lights come on. 'Cause then you don't have to see. 'Cause then you don't have to see what you've done. Well, quick, let's leave before the lights come on. 'Cause then you don't have to see. 'Cause then you don't have to see what you've done.
I mean, it's interesting use of tremolo picking on the guitar parts. So that is an awesome song. I'll be honest, I'm not always a massive fan of the Arctic Monkeys, but I appreciate their work ethic, I appreciate their musicality, and I think that this is a strong example of what they're capable of. Leave Before the Lights Come On. What is it about? Do this pick for today, one of the picks for today, should I say. I think this track is about someone, having a one-night stand and coming to terms with what's occurred. And sort of like just kind of accepting it, I suppose, or like kind of just moving on from that or moving forward from that, There's two times of it. Yeah. So I think it's not only them, but also other people potentially that they're comparing themselves to, or they're talking about to other people themselves or their different perspectives. But either way, it's an interesting story. I'm sure a lot of people can probably relate to situations like this, or even if you just make mistakes and you're not sure if you want it to be, got to move on afterwards. But anyways, moving on. The vocal parts are solid. I'm really happy with the way it was sung. At parts it sounded very earnest. At other parts it was more sort of chant or spoken stuff. And we have a lot of personality. And I think like the expression makes sense. The note choices are really compelling and engaging and catchy, and we navigate effortlessly through the different guitar, bass, and drum parts, especially the drums, which you get through in a moment. The drums are absolutely phenomenal within this piece. Absolutely phenomenal percussion within this track. So I think that, again, the vocals were handled well. Great use of melodies for the most part. We also knew when to not be there. We knew when to sort of come back, I think, from what was going on there and not to overcomplicate it. Because the track at 3 minutes 53 is relatively short. It seems like a short. It flies by. You have a couple of different sort of main verse or chorus sections, and then several different instrumental parts. And then an outro where you talk about walking them, and the bus comes and stuff like that. So, when you're young and you have to catch the bus home and stuff like that, that kind of thing, after a night out. And I think that it's well fleshed out with the different guitar parts, the drums. I mean, I want to talk about the drums because they're my favorite part about this. I think that it's exceptional. The complexity, the tenacity of it, knowing how to work with the more solid eighth note grooves, the kick and snare resonances and patterns, having the kind of offbeat, kind of quirky hi-hats with 16ths and off and ons and stuff like that, knowing where to put those is wild. Also having moments where we kind of accent the toms within the kit, and we have little rolls and transitions to split bits up and make it more interesting. we also have parts as well where like we have these kind of 16th note kind of break beats in addition to other driving parts. And there's just so many different ideas that are complicated, but they manage to fit in sort of seamlessly with the rest of the arrangement. The bassist, I think, sticks to the root notes for a lot of it, if I'm not mistaken. I know I say that for most bass parts. It's just what a lot of bass parts on the guitar are, you know. It's not like we didn't adjust our grooves and stuff like that, but it was more sort of like stuck with what the drums are doing, which is kind of the form factor that you want a lot of the time. And like, I like the fact that we are messing around with different sort of like lead lines in the mid-range there, hammer-ons and pull-offs. Some parts we sort of mirror what's going on with the vocals. Other parts we sort of have our own identity and we split away from that, or we do counterpoint. Yeah, I think the drums paired well with the storytelling for sure. I'm assuming that different parts, different intensities matched different parts of it. And you have these kind of chords that modulate, or they are tense because they go down in a way which is parallel minded, but then they go up, down, and it's kind of uncomfortable, but not in a way where it's too much. So the guitar parts with the bar chords with the crispy overdrive, the lead lines near like the solo near the end, or the arpeggiated parts, or like the sort of individual kind of concepts, they litter the piece, but they're well fleshed out between the two. They're within different layers, the bass and drums tight combined. The theme over top, again with those parallel minors, kind of gives me the impression. It gives me the impression that there's a bit of uncertainty or like kind of duress that we're under, but at the same time we're just kind of coming to terms with it and coping. It's almost sort of like bittersweet or maybe even melancholic in sense, which I think is kind of a sort of semi-mature way of coping with it. And musically makes sense in regards to the expression as well. You can kind of match the two together. Yeah, there's enough range compositionally to keep it compelling throughout. I don't think it overcomplicates at any point, but it is never dull. And studio recording, mixing, and mastering, you can hear the vocals, different guitar layers, bass, and drums really easily. There's no issues in that regard. No rough edges in regards to EQing or filtering or panning. Dynamic range. Some parts, there's just vocals by themselves. It breathes. You know, it's great. And that was nice and loud without pumping. So limiting compression is handled. The limiting and compression is handled, should I say. Thank you to Judith for putting this track through from an ex named Arctic Monkeys. I always thought they were the Arctic Monkeys, but they're just Arctic Monkeys, titled Leave Before the Lights Come On. That was cool. That was cool, man. So what do we have next? We have 2 tracks. We have Jacob. We have another track from Jacob. Let's do it. Jacob says it's very similar to what the Strokes started during that period. Would you recommend listening to more of the Strokes, like, as an act? Because, like, I haven't listened to them before. How would you describe the Strokes overall as a band? I just feel like I've been missing out on a lot of cool music because I just haven't made the effort to hear it. And you guys are showing me all sorts of really cool stuff, which I appreciate, but yeah. We got a different song now, though. They're the reason for this style of music revival in 2000s. Crazy. So the Strokes are pretty big news. That's cool, man. This track is a different one from a Jacob Good. This is titled Violent Crimes by Kanye West. So, that's a YouTube link. Okay, let's do it. YouTube. Beep, beep.
Falling,
Oh, it's a bit louder than the previous track, but that's cool. Let's go. Let's do it.
falling, dreaming, talking in your sleep. I know you want to cry all night. All night.
Great use of auto-tune or Melodyne.
Plotting, scheming, finding reason to defend all of your violent nights. Promise me. Don't you grow up in a hurry. Your mama be worried, oh, it was all part of the story. Even the scary nights, thank you for all of the glory. You will be remembered, oh, thank you to all of the heroes of the night. They gotta repaint the colors. The lie is wearing off, reality is upon us. Colors dripping off, colors dripping off.
Niggas is savage, niggas is monsters, niggas is pimps, niggas is players. To niggas had daughters, now they precautious. Father, forgive me, I'm scared of the karma. Cause now I see women as something to nurture, not something to conquer. I hope she like Nicki, I make her a monster. Now having menages, I'm just being silly, I answer the door like Will Smith and Martin. Nigga, do we have a problem? Matter of fact, Marlon, this ain't Meet the Fockers. I beat his ass, pray I beat the Chargers. No daddy don't play, not when it comes to their daughters. Don't do no yoga, don't do Pilates. Just play piano and stick to karate. I pray your bodies drink more like mine and not like your mommy's. Just being salty, but niggas is nuts. And I am a nigga, I know what they want. I pray that you don't get it all at once. Curves under your dress, I know it's pervs. All on the net, all in the comments. You wanna vomit, that's your baby, you love her to death. Now she cutting class and hanging with friends. You break a glass and say it again. She can't comprehend the danger she in. If you whip her ass, she moving with him. Then he whip her ass, you go through it again. But how you the devil rebuking the sin? Let's pray we could put this behind us. I swear that these times is the wildest. She got the scars, they serve as reminders. Blood still on her pajamas, but yesterday is dead, yeah. Moment of silence. Next should be off the collars and then at the altar. Cause she know that niggas is savage. Niggas is monsters, niggas is pimps, niggas is players. To niggas had daughters. Niggas is pimps, niggas is players. To niggas had daughters.
Don't you grow up in a hurry. Your mama be worried, oh, it was all part of the story. Even the scary nights, thank you for all of the glory. You will be remembered, oh, thank you to all of the heroes of the night. They gotta repaint the colors. The lie is wearing off, reality is upon us. Colors dripping off, colors dripping off.
I'm saying it like, I want a daughter like Nicki. Oh man, I promise I'm gonna turn her to a monster, but no menages. I don't know how he's saying it, but let him hear this.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna like level with you, like not that it matters particularly, but I think this is one of my favorite Kanye West tracks. I'm not a dad. The closest thing I have is a kitten, and so I can't relate. But I can imagine, based on what he's saying, based on what, you know, Jacob mentioned one of my favorite Kanye tracks for the beautiful lyrics and emotional resonance as a father. Yeah, absolutely. That makes 1,000%. A massive amount of sense. And what Kanye is talking about in here with who he knows himself or knew himself to be before becoming a father, looking at other people and stuff like that, makes just a lot of sense. It's an interesting thing to talk about. I'm assuming that might have been Kim at the end, if I'm not mistaken, talking about their daughter. If I'm not wrong, maybe like that. I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to comment on the black community. I don't feel qualified for that. But what I do know is that I think I can imagine if I had a kid, that I would be very protective, and you would especially if you were terrible to a woman, you were going to be personally affected by it, and imagine that it would be like a wake-up call for you. Some really sobering lines in there. It seems like a very honest performance from Kanye West. I'm really happy to have heard it. The combination of what's going on in regard to the ladies' vocals at the start, with like the mixture of like the tuning on them, but also it kind of sounds almost like it's a vinyl recording because there's some crackles there. I'm pretty sure it's just because it's been pushed in the limiter, like they've pushed the vocals to a point where they distort. It's very kind of rough and kind of gritty, Almost like this is not meant to be sort of like a clean cut experience. It's kind of gritty and kind of intense, and that lack of clarity, I think, which is a contrast to a lot of Kanye West's production, because this production is incredible. I think it's very grounding. It's very kind of like almost soothing in a weird way. The male vocals that come in near the end, maybe the guys coming in with the ladies at the end, talking about how they both want to take care of their daughters and stuff like that. And I think Kanye in the middle makes a lot of sense. I just think having his perspective and having that at the end, and then having the vocal line there about Nicki and Minaj and stuff, it's great wordplay. The keys that we have as a main component of this piece, the almost sort of like VHS old school nostalgic tone to them, is quite unique and really cool. And I like the color and glow of that, and the almost kind of PS1 era sort of soundtracky kind of vibe going on with that. Maybe it's looking at when he was younger versus now. But then there's like a classiness to what's going on with the piano, the extension of those chords, the kind of seventh chords and stuff like that, almost like a lounge jazz kind of feel there with the thump and kicks, the kicks with a bit of grit and kind of sizzle to them. But without overcomplicating the percussion, though. The bass line, I think, was 808s. I think it might be a really subtle 808 if it's not like the low end of that bass synth, but like the keys, but just are wonderful. And there's other little inclusions as well, I think, but that's sort of the main instrumental parts there. It's definitely more oriented around the actual story they're trying to tell, as opposed to trying to make things too interesting from like an instrumental perspective. I mean, like you have the drum kit, for example, with some of the 16th note grooves and stuff like that, kind of like being sort of filtered so that they're more subtle and you can't really sort of, you know, like they're in the background, almost like the time marching on isn't as obvious as you think it is. So I think it's really well written. It's minimalist in its approach to the layering and stuff, but again, I don't think you could have overcomplicated it in a way that would be meaningful. The extensions and the harmonies illustrate a sense of sophistication with understanding of the situation they're in, and of what they're talking about being complicated. So I think the chord choices made a lot of sense there, and I think just having a lack of instrumental parts behind Kanye at times is great, because it just leaves him sort of wrestling with his own thoughts and feelings on it. And then you have, again, just a really interesting song structure, like the ABA, almost through composed, 3 minutes 36, well fleshed out with the voice at the end. Studio recording, mixing, and mastering. I mean, like, I'm not entirely super sold on the way that it was produced. I don't like when things are pushed in the mastering chain. Like, I don't like when there's digital distortion if there doesn't need to be like kind of sound to it. But like, I think if it's a deliberate decision, trying to make it sound a bit grittier or kind of edgier, that's fine. Because it's a harder kind of conversation to have. It is not meant to be super pretty and sort of pristine, I suppose. Kanye's vocals sounded clean in the mix, so did the other ones there, even with the filtering. Everything else is nicely layered and niched around the free spectrum and stereo field. Well done. Great song. Thank you to Jacob for putting that track through from Kanye West, titled Violent Crimes. Man. Really cool, man. I think we've got one track left from Joy and Joe. What does Joy and Joe put it through for us today? What do we have after that track from Kanye? A very sobering song. Hey, Spiderhands, this is the theme song from the Zoo Tycoon game Planet Zoo. I think it just had an aneurysm. Sorry, guys. It's interesting, relaxing, lovable, and full of hope, just like the moments when I enjoyed the game. It reminds us either the good time when parents took us to the zoo, or, furthermore, the reality that all species on Earth coexist in the ecosystem. Sounds dope, man. Let's do it. Let's go. Planet Zoo, main theme. Let's find this. There is a sense of wonderment to it, isn't there? It's just that warmth there. The warmth from the backing vocals, almost giving kind of like, it reminds me of some of the Lion King soundtrack as well. Not a peppy little guitar line, isn't it? Like, it's a really peppy little guitar line. It's really pleasant. Oh no, it's going away. Oh, that was cool though. So that was the Planet Zoo beta main theme. Requested by Droy and Joe. What? Time to touch some grass. Ah, touch some grass. This makes me want to play the game. It makes me want to play the game a little bit. You know? Would you recommend... So when did the game come out? Because this is the beta. Did the game come out in 2018 or 19 or something like that? I actually think I've got Planet Zoo. But I'm glad that you enjoyed your time with it. I think that this song is about celebrating the idea of a zoo and all the animals coming together. I'm not sure of the specific language that is being sung throughout the track, because there's like lots of different dialects, regional dialects and stuff like that, depending on the tribes. But yeah, fantastic effort there. I think the vocals, when they come in, even though I don't understand what the track's about, are so full of joy. There are the chanting parts. There are some backing vocals on one side. There's other ones kind of speaking on the other. There's some pad-like effects as well on the sides. There's so many different vocal parts that, as Jacob said, it does want to make you smile. It does want to make you smile because it's a fun song. It's cool. But it's also just the kind of quiet intricacy of it. It's a song where if you just kind of listen passively, you enjoy the thump and the groove. So you kind of enjoy the kind of the feel, that pulse of that going from half time to double time and stuff like that. But when you listen, you hear like the strum parts and like those kind of picked guitar bits on the other side, and it's just so vibrant and vivacious in its affectation. And you have like the quiet vocals in the background as well. There, an extra bit of color that are kind of like layer and kind of glaze things up. And there's like, you can hear that they're steel strings. You can hear that they're actually playing the instruments, and you can hear they're in the same room, and you can kind of imagine everyone having a sense of joy playing this. There's a nice cool response between the vocalists as well in that midpoint there, going backwards and forwards, and also the drums. There's an interesting snare tone to the drum kit, and I like the tone of it. It cuts through the mix really neatly, and I don't think you could have done it better. The push forward, the chord note accents on there are kind of there to get you dancing about and kind of moving and having fun. So I think ultimately, thematically, before going through the rest of the track, I think this is a song, as I mentioned before, that is celebrating the idea of the concept of the Planet Zoo. And I think that it's a smart move. You want people to come into a game with expectations that they're going to have a good time. And so having music like this is great. I mean, like we have like the chanting here. I think we also had like a guitar solo kind of part a bit later on there, which was kind of interesting because just having an extra lead outside of the vocals, just to allow it to kind of feed off and on top of everything else that's going on. You know what I mean? They're never taking away really. They're just replacing with something else that is equally as satisfying. And then, of course, you got the synth brass or the brass later on as well, which is the icing on the cake there. You know, just the joy of it, man. Just everyone kind of bouncing around there, kind of building the song up more and more and more, getting more and more and more. And then there's that natural bell curve near the end. We kind of come down a little bit, but it peters out in a way where it's like you felt like you've had an adventure, a journey with the people involved in this. And I would agree there. Does it have Twinkle Twinkle Little Star in there? That's wild. That's very clever inclusion there. Well spotted, Joy and Joe. Judith says, I imagine the chanting is about something so joyous that words can't describe. Yeah, I mean, like, I feel like that's a really sensible take on it. I think that they seem like they're just having a great time, and you can't ask for more. Can you really? You can't ask for more than for people to simply have fun with the game that they're making and the song they're singing for it. So the focus on major elements within this across the board makes this a happy song. Musically, the tones of the instruments, the kind of the way that the brightness of the performance, the focus on the mid to upper range and stuff like that makes it more kind of exciting. Yeah. And you kind of end it in a state where you feel like you're really going to have fun in the zoo with all the African animals, you know, all the lions and everything else involved. And here you got like the elephants and stuff like that. It sells it. So studio production, recording, mixing, mastering wise, it sounds like it's ready for a game. Sounds commercial grade. You can hear the vocals really neatly. There's dynamic range. Things not the same loudness. You can hear the guitars, the bass drum elements, the trumpets, etc. Almost like the trumpets are the elephants going, wow, you know, but like just the trumpets are the celebration. The celebration of this big journey you've got to the zoo that you're going to have, you know. So yeah, leveling, fanning of stuff in the stereo field, EQing, etc. Nice and loud. Very good. Very good song. Thank you to Joy and Joe for putting this track forward. I think it's a fantastic song, and I'm glad that you have really positive memories with it. And you have sold it to me a little bit. It does kind of make me want to go check it out in my own time. However, it is time for the queue to close. I am closing the queue now. It is the end of the session. We have been going for a couple of hours. We have run out of songs, but that is okay. I want to give a quick shout out to the people that have put through requests today, such as Judith, Danahe, Dr. Theo, Zach, Jacob Good, and Joy and Joe as well as Judith and Jacob with multiples. Thank you to you for putting those requests through, and thank you to everyone else who came along to this live stream. It was good to hang out and chat about music. I don't know what your favorite song was today. My favorite song was a toss-up between the Planet Zoo theme and the chicken piano. The chicken piano one was very good. Feel free to let me know what song you like best in the comments. But more importantly, please do make sure to have a fantastic weekend. Stay cool, stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as need the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. Before I go, there is going to be a live stream tomorrow for the Hua Shen Yu stuff. It's probably going to be a bit busier than usual because there's at least 100 and something people that seem to be invested in watching it. So we're going to see how that goes. But hopefully you'll have a fantastic weekend. I'll see you there. I'll see you later. Stay cool, shredders. Spiderhands out. 3, 2, 1.